Hi, and good evening, everyone. Hi, can everyone hear me? Oh, great.
Yes, ma.
Okay,
Good evening, ma.
yeah. Um, okay, good evening, everyone. Nice to have you here in our webinar. So I'm thinking we should just give like say 3 minutes for just to have more persons join before we kick start. Okay, so while we wait for people to join in, I'll just welcome everyone individually. Okay, yeah, welcome, Peter. I see we have Peter, it's nice to have you here on the call, Peter. I see we have Abdul Fatai. Please pardon me if I don't pronounce your name very well. Okay, so we have Abdul Fatai Adam. Nice to have you here, Abdul Fatai. We have Dokumo Divine. Welcome, Dokumo. Welcome, Faithfulness of Basikalu. We also have Kamanzi Search. Please pardon me if I don't pronounce your name very well. Um, okay, I see we have Hamed. Can also see Mohammed. Welcome, Mohammed Ibrahim. Olusheye Yeniyi. It's nice to have you here. Also have Oluwatobi. Hi. Also have Oshab Sam. Okay. We also have Kazim. Hi Sabi, it's nice to have you here. So just so we don't just so that we are not just idle while we wait for a couple, just a few more persons to join in. We also have Sadiq. Hi Sadiq, nice to have you here. Hi Toluwase, Toluwalase, nice to have you here. Hi Victor. Okay, can we at least say hi? Just maybe a little intro in the chat box. Just a little intro, just say hi so we know you're here with us. Yeah, thank you, Kamazi. Yeah, thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Abdul Fatai. Hi, Olusheye. Thank you. Thank you. It's really nice to see that we are really, giving us feedback. It's nice. Thank you so much. Okay, I think it's time we start. All right. Thank you once again, everyone, and welcome to Vontech's webinar today on cost optimization in the cloud, hosted by Vontech. Vontech is a proud sponsor of this event, and we are really, really excited to have everyone join you. Thank you for taking out time to join us on this webinar. Vontech is one of the leading AWS partner in Nigeria. Vontech has great expertise in offering cloud services. So they help to design, to build, to manage, and help to migrate your infrastructure to the cloud. More focused on AWS cloud services for now, and it's really, really nice to have you here. Myself, I'm Edith Duru, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Okay, it's great. I can see a lot of people joining in. Yeah, so like I said, I'm Edith Duru and I will be your moderator for today's event. So trust me, today's webinar is going to be one that you will learn quite a lot. It's going to be an expository session, an immersive learning, and we have an expert who is going to take us on the workshop session. Okay, so before we dive right into the workshop session, let me just walk us through the agenda for today. Please, am I audible enough? Can you
Yes, I can hear
can
you.
you just wait? Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll just quickly walk us through the agenda for today so that we are cleared on the goals and objective of this webinar. So the first is welcome, which I've done before now. For those of us that were not here, let me see if I would be able to spot them. Okay, so the first is welcome, which should take us 5 minutes. And next would be introduction to Vontech. So it will be a time for us to, learn a little bit about Vontech, our offerings, all the values you bring to the table, everything about Vontech. Just it will take us 5 minutes for that. After that, we'll dive right into cost optimization strategy, which should take us about 20 minutes. And then we'll move to case studies. Case studies will take us 15 minutes. And lastly, we have our Q&A session, which should take us 10 minutes. And then it's going to be a wrap up. That will be the end of the webinar. Excuse me. Okay, so I think I have introduced, I've said hello to a couple of persons here, but I see more people joined in. I think I can see Sadiq. Hi, Sadiq. Thank you for joining us on this event. Goodness Mba. I don't think I saw you earlier. Hi, and welcome to this event. Domokuma Divine. I'm not sure I mentioned your name before now. So welcome everyone to today's event. So that we don't take a lot of your time. So the next on our agenda is introduction to Vontech. So I will quickly call on the stage Faithfulness. Faithfulness is the country manager for Vontech. So I'll be handing over to Faithfulness while she walk us through Vontech's offering, what you stand to benefit when you work with us in at Vontech. Hi, Faithfulness, are you there?
Hi, I am here. Thank you, Edith, for the introduction.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Um, I really hope that everyone is doing good and that you had such a great day. Oh, hi. I can see thumbs up. Awesome. So everybody can hear me. Um, Hi, Sadiq. Okay. So just gonna do a really quick 5 minutes introduction. Nothing too long, no long thing. We're not trying to waste your time. Let's just move forward, right? So next slide, please. Okay, so we're the leading AWS startup partners in Nigeria, which is really that our main business is focused on startups. So AWS has other partners, yeah, but those other partners try to go for the big guys. So for enterprise organizations, for public sector, but we are more focused on startups. And we understand every single thing that a startup needs. We understand, what exactly it is that makes startups tick, and we understand how to get benefits from AWS to startups, which are going to learn with when we move forward, especially with this cost optimization that we have. And so we've helped a couple of startups across Nigeria, really across sub-Saharan Africa to improve costs to migrate to AWS, do some AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning kinds of services. So anything like that, we help them do. We can move to the next slide. Right. The offerings, right, that we have for startups at the moment, we do cloud managed services, and what that is really that if you don't have a team to if you don't have a team like a DevOps team that will constantly monitor your resources and monitor your infrastructure, we can come up with something. We'll take on the work for you, and you don't have to bother about that, right? There's cloud migration, which is pretty easy, moving to AWS. There's DevOps, DevSecOps, which is also part of this part of this cloud optimization exercise that we're doing, right? There's there's big data consulting, we have data analytics, AI. Again, we've done a couple projects around these things. Worked with startups across board to either do some kind of recommendation engine, whatever thing it is that they really want to do, in terms of using AI, in terms of using machine learning, data analytics. We're basically the go-to for startups. And the great thing about that is you may not necessarily have to spend money from your end. We find a way to make sure that we bear the cost, that we put the cost on AWS, right? So that's one thing that is amazing about this. So if that's something you're interested in doing, please talk to us. We have a global team of DevOps engineers, solution architects, sales and marketing executives, developers across board. And the thing about it is that we have this team scattered and spread across Nigeria, Abuja, Lagos, India, the US as well. So you're in great hands is really the point of this, right? And then as well as the fact that we have a couple badges, right? So we're select consulting partners. So that means that we have AWS authority to do and perform certain, and to also give certain incentives. Please, moving forward. I think this is already taking too long. But again, these are a couple of the services that we give. So cost optimization, right? If you don't have AWS, people who understand AWS in your company and you just want to outsource it, please, we're here for you. If you don't, you're feeling like you have a lot of costs, which is obviously why a couple of us are here today, we'll handle it for you, right? So and these are kind of some of the initiatives that we do to do that. Um, I'm just going to kind of, okay, brush over through this, but I would just like to highlight two things specifically, right? And especially because this is a cost optimization exercise, right? So technical support, cost optimization, and very important thing is that we have access to partner and VC funding. And what that is that we actually partnered with a couple of accelerators and venture capitalists in Nigeria and even across Africa. A popular one that you might know is Ventures Platform. We're partnered with them. We also have an event coming up with Founders Connect in May 25th, right? So those things, the things that we do, just to kind of give back to startups and make sure that if you have a really great idea and you need venture funding, that is a conversation that we can have, and see if you'd be a good fit for them. Let's move forward. Next slide, please. I'm going to do a really brief thing and just skip over. So we work around, we've worked with a couple of startups is the point. And if you have any questions, I feel like I've spoken too much. You guys probably are looking at your screens like one of these guys on the screen, right? Like one of the guys in the picture, you're probably looking like them right now, like, okay, we've heard enough. But yeah, that's it. Anybody has any questions that they would like to share before we move into the cost optimization part of it? You can either ask in the chat. I'm going to put my email as well in the chat. So if you want to do a more personal, and my WhatsApp number as well. So if you want to do a more personal consultation, that's also fine. But I'll just hand over to Edith, our moderator, to move forward. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Faithfulness. Thank you for that presentation. It was precise and very, very precise and very perfect. Awesome. So thank you so much. And I'm sure everyone here is excited about some of the offerings that Faithfulness has mentioned. So specifically cost optimization, which is why we are here, right? So today, yes, in fact, I just walked out from an event. I've been in an event since morning, and I just walked out from the event right now. And I was speaking with someone about AWS, Vontech, what we are offering and all. And the person was like, "Oh, AWS is expensive and all." But I think that's the notion that most people have about AWS. But sometimes you just find out that what really makes it look as if AWS is so expensive is because, when some startups, some companies, they adopt AWS cloud architecture, they spin up some services and that they might actually not be using, especially when they are still growing up, trying to grow, right? There are some services that they might not be using, that they might not be able to maximize all of the benefits that comes with it, but you see that they spin them up and then these things begin to consume a lot and you find out that you're spending a lot. So what's some of our one of our selling point at Vontech is that we are very, very good at cost optimization. Beyond that, offer you free migration to AWS. So you don't have to pay us migration at zero cost. And then we also help you to secure AWS credits, even up to 100,000 credits, like we said, as part of, what we placed on the flyer. So you can get, depending on what your cloud spend is, you can get as much as $10,000 in credits, $100,000 in credit, and even $200,000 in credit. So we look at your workload and the rest of them. So let me not just go into details about that, but thank you very much, Faithfulness, for that. We appreciate that. So moving forward, I think next on our agenda is um, cost optimization strategy. Yeah, so I think this is the main deal. This is the reason we are here. So I'll quickly introduce Peter Ino. Peter Ino is our DevOps engineer at Vontech. Very, 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 he has great specialty and, you know, great skills when it comes to cost optimization, anything that has to do with DevOps, in the cloud and the rest of them. So I'll quickly introduce Peter. Hi, Peter. I'm very sure you're very eager to take the session. Um,
Hi there,
so
Flavin. How you
yeah,
doing? Sorry.
yeah,
Hi,
the
everyone.
platform is yours.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Peter. I work as a DevOps engineer at Vontech. So I'm going to be taking us, first of all, am I audible? Can everyone hear me well? Please just signal a thumbs up if you can hear me. Cool. All right. I work as a DevOps engineer at Vontech, and I'm going to be taking us on some cost optimization strategies on AWS. So, as my colleague Edith said earlier, AWS seems expensive, but it's often because people, users don't really know how to make use of it. So I'm going to list a couple of strategies which we can use to actually make the costs more optimized and improve performance for our use cases on AWS. The first topic I'm going to hit on is right sizing, because as Edith said before, most times we spin up a lot of resources that we're not using, or let's say we have a vCPU or an application that needs 2 vCPUs and 4 GB RAM, and then we go and over provision it to be able to handle the peak workloads. That's how things used to be done with traditional infrastructure. So you had to get as big as you could so that during your peak hours, you're not lacking. But with the cloud, you don't need to do that anymore. What you need to do is actually get the least amount that you need to run efficiently and then scale as you grow. So the first thing, as I said, is right sizing. And right sizing is finding the perfect fit between the cloud resources you use, like VMs and storage, and the true needs of your application. Right sizing aims to save you money while making sure your applications run smoothly because you achieved a balance between performance, cost, and efficiency. So the benefits of right sizing are lower costs, so you only pay for what you need, better performance, no slowdowns because your resources are too small, and efficient use of the cloud. So you're not wasting resources. So here's let's say this is your workload here, and then this is where you put your work your infrastructure, it won't be able to. So this is going to be slow, but let's say this is your workload here, and if you put your infrastructure here, it's not going to be enough. So you have to find the right balance. So when should you right size your resources? You should right size your resources when you have a server running up, but it barely uses up its power. Let's say you have a server and it's only using 5%, 10%, 20% of its complete capability. You need to right size. You need to get down to a smaller virtual machine, or you need to go lower storage class. I covered that next. So if you have a lot of data, old data that's hardly ever being used, so you can right size by moving that to a different storage class. Because in AWS, you have a bunch of different storage classes. You have storage classes for data that you're using constantly. You have storage classes for data that you can archive and you don't need to look at it for like a year or 2 years or decades. Okay, so you need to also right size the storage classes that you use. And then lastly, you should right size with spiky workloads. So for example, Jumia Black Friday. Jumia Black Friday's server capacity is not going to be the same as Jumia on a normal average day. You know, their workloads need to spike. So you can right size up, or you can also right size down. Let's go to the next one. So another cost saving strategy is using reserved instances. In AWS allows you to reserve virtual machines. So you can reserve them for 1 to 3 years. You can say that, okay, for the next year, I'm going to be running this app, or for the next 3 years, I'm going to be running this app. So instead of actually paying on demand monthly, you can pay it once. And if you pay it once, you can save up to 72%, if not more, on the cost. Because when you pay on a monthly basis, you're paying on demand. You're using on demand servers, and those are they're standard. They offer all the benefits, but they're more costly because oftentimes people just come and they run on demand workloads for maybe like a month or 2 months. But if you're going to be using it for production level tasks that need to span years, the best way to do that is to use reserved instances. The benefits of reserved instances, as I pointed out, is that you get huge savings and you get capacity guaranteed. So you're guaranteed that your server will be available for you whenever you need it. So when should you use reserved instances? You should use reserved instances when you have a steady workload. So you know that you're going to be using this server for the next 1 to 3 years, and you can just pay for it once. And it needs to be a predictable usage. You know that you're going to be using this server, and this server is going to be paying off. You know, it's not just going to be wasting time. So as this graph shows here, this is an on-demand instance. When you actually use a reserve instance, you will always get a great saving on it. This one here is 39%, but depending on the instance classes that you're using, you can, as I said before, get up to 72% discount. Another cost-saving strategy is to use spot instances. Now, there's a difference between your spot instances and your reserved instances. Spot instances are spare, unused compute because AWS is so big that they have so many virtual machines that are just wasting away. And it is always going to be in their interest that people make use of those servers that are not being used. So what they do is that they offer spot instances at up to 90% cheaper than the normal instances. The only thing is that spot instances, you cannot use them for steady, reliable workloads. They're instances that maybe you want to use them for cron jobs, for 1 or 2 tasks that can survive interruptibility. So if it goes off, it won't affect anything, but it will definitely come back on. But as I said, spot instances can get you up to 90% cheaper than on-demand instances. It's basically a combination of spot instances and reserved instances that actually make you able to achieve fantastic cost optimization on your AWS account. So when to use spot instances, you should use spot instances, as I said before, when you have flexible workloads that can survive interruptibility and they don't have to finish right away. For example, image processing, testing and development. So yeah. And one of the last strategies I'll cover is cloud cost management tools, because you can use reserved instances, you can use spot instances, you can use a bunch of services, but you need to be able to see what the cost actually is for you to better understand the direction you're going, whether your cost is going up or your cost is going down. That's where cloud cost management tools come in. And AWS has a bunch of them, actually. Because, for example, Cost Explorer. Cost Explorer is this dashboard that you see on the right here. This Cost Explorer lets you see where all your costs are coming from. Like if you look here, you can see costs from EC2, you can see costs from the database, and it helps you visualize and plan yourself in the long run. You can see that, okay, once I switched to reserved instances, the cost went down. Once, okay, you can see that, okay, spot instances are not really making that big of a difference between what I'm normally using. So, it's not worth the stress. Let me just go back to what I was using. It lets you actually plan and manage yourself and prepare yourself. And that's the thing with AWS. You actually have to be very serious about it, because once you are, you can get quite a lot of benefit from it. And there's a reason they're the #1 cloud providing service in the world. So please, are there any questions? Yeah. Please, are there any questions? I think, Edith, I'll hand over back to you while we await questions. You can just type the questions up in the chat.
Hi, Peter. Are you done?
Yes, I am. I'm done with cost saving strategies. Okay, someone says,
Great.
Austin says, I'm a developer. Is there a way I can reach out for further inquiries? Of course, of course. Look at
Yeah,
the screen
go
there.
on.
It shows our link tree. So just connect with us online. It has our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So there are many ways to reach us.
Yeah, so you can also, so I just sent a link to a Google form, so you can fill that
Mm,
with your details, and we would reach out to you. So we are coming to you. We are bringing it at your doorstep. So kindly help us fill that form for
Ocean
everyone that is
Tutor
starting that. Yeah.
says, but there are some services like RDS that are expensive by default. No, RDS is not expensive by default. During in the next task, which is the workshop, I'll show you all how those things are not. It's if you just click on it and start it, that it's going to start incurring costs. You have to actually look at it and then customize it to your workload, and that's where most people get it wrong. Because if your workload is not high, then you don't need to provision a high maintenance infrastructure. You can actually customize it down to startup level without any much stress. All right, please, are there any other questions so that Edith can move on to the next topic? Sure, if you're not able to ask them, please just drop them in the form. Edith, I see the floor.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. Okay, let me turn on my camera. Yeah. So thank you. We sincerely do appreciate. Thank you. So I so much believe that everyone here found this session very enlightening. I think I took a note where you said it's important to achieve a balance between, I think you mentioned three things, but I got just two of them, between cost efficiency and the third one, which you mentioned, I can't really, I think I didn't get, I think I missed that out. So
Cost management tools.
yeah, efficiency and the third one you mentioned. So in all, I believe everyone here has been able to pick one or two things that, you know, that's probably you might know it before now, but then I believe you've not heard it in this way, which is what we call iron sharpened iron. Awesome. So yeah, yeah. So I think we'll just move right into the next session. But then if you have questions, and I think before we move to the next session, can we quickly fill that form? Let's just give like 3 minutes so that everyone could click on the link on the chat. Please click on it and just fill it. Please, if you have filled it, just give us thumbs up, or you can say I've filled it, or you can say good. Okay, I
Yeah.
think we'll go with good, or thumbs up
Reach out
if you
to
have
you
filled it, please.
after the meeting for any
Uh, yeah, so
serious.
let's just use so let's just use 2 minutes. Okay, I see a question here. Yeah, a question says, is it advisable to use services like AWS to your system from scratch? Okay. Peter, would you be able to take this? Or we also have Tolu here. Tolu is also our solution architect at Vontech. Um, Hi, Tolu, are you here? Or Peter, either of you could take the question. Is it
Yeah, I'm
advisable to
here.
use services? Yeah, so the question says, is it advisable to use services like AWS Cognito or just create your system from scratch?
Yeah, based on the work scenario and the tools being used is advisable. For example, Cognito integrates well with a lot of AWS services and also third-party services. So if you're trying to use Cognito for users, your work users, emails, credentials, and authentication things, Cognito work best.
Hi, Ocean Tutor, are you cleared on that? Or are you cleared with the response that has been given? While we wait for, okay, please kindly fill the form. I think we should just move forward. Please kindly fill the form and do good. Okay, thank you. Oh, great.
Okay, Tutor, I think we should also have a conversation as well after this. So we'll send you, you can actually send me a message. I put my contact information in the chat. I can resend it, but you could just send us a message, right? And we'll get back to you. So we'll have a proper conversation and talk about how to design your infrastructure.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Ocean. Okay, so the next we have on our agenda is case study, which should take us about 10 to 15 minutes. All right. Peter, over to you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Edith. Hi, everyone again. Okay, so we created a case study, which is an example on architecture and architecture planning, inventory gathering documents, and an architectural diagram to demonstrate what we've been talking about in terms of optimizing cost. So The components of this architecture are a VPC, which is your virtual private cloud, and RDS, which is your database, an auto scaling group to handle your auto scaling, and a gateway to give access to your private resources, load balancer to distribute your workloads, different availability zones within the VPC, and S3 to store your objects, security groups, internet gateway, and CloudFront for global content delivery. We basically created it just like this. So this is how everything pieces together. This is what your tentative architecture is going to look like. Whenever we work with clients, we create their infrastructure for them at zero cost. We create everything they need in order for them to be able to move to AWS as efficiently and quickly as possible. So this is our everyday job. So with those different components, we integrated it into this architectural diagram, which stands on all the 5 pillars of AWS: performance, security, operational excellence, and all that other good stuff. And the business justification is that the apps and database are kept in private subnets to enhance security by isolating them from direct internet access. The public are able to access those resources through the internet gateway, and the CloudFront, they are able to access it globally. The RDS, which is the relational database, is managed and allows them to scale, back up, and recover their data without any technical expertise. They don't need to be an expert in order to use RDS. S3 and CloudFront allows them to distribute and cache user requests across the world, and the auto scaling allows their infrastructure to handle any spiky workloads. So that's the business justification. Now let's go to what that actually looks like in the AWS calculator. So all those services and requirements have been translated to AWS calculator. So this is the next step in our work. Once we design your architectural diagram, we then actually bring it on to the AWS calculator to get an estimate for how much it's going to cost. So already you guys can already see that it's not just as simple as going on to AWS, spinning up a workload, and then expecting it not to cost you, because it might. And already, as one of us pointed out, the Amazon RDS, for example, its monthly is at $470. So this is what, let's say, a basic infrastructure is going to look like. It's a bit padded. There are things that are a bit expensive, but let's compare it to what the clients are actually using in their day-to-day, because that's how we're going to know whether it's able to save them proper cost. Can you all see my screen? Is it clear enough? Just give a thumbs up if it's good. Yeah. So if you look at the front end here, the front end, React.js on EC2, business impact is high, operating system is Linux, platform is Ubuntu, CPU cores are 2. So it just needs 2 CPU cores. CPU utilization is 7%, but then the memory is 12 gigs of memory. Okay. Where's the core? Okay. Memory is 12 gigs of memory, and then memory utilization is 2%. Storage is 1,000 gigs, but then storage utilization is 3%. Okay. So those are the core metrics that we're just going to look at. So already you can see that CPU core is 2. It uses a machine that is 2 CPU core, and it's just using 7% of that. It uses memory that is 12 gigs of RAM, but it just uses 2% of that. and it uses 1,000 gigs of storage, but it only uses 3% of that. So already you can see that here we need to right size this workload, because if we put something that's 2 CPU core, 12 gig memory, and 1,000 gigs, this shouldn't even be 1,000 gigs. Let's put this at 100. Let's put it at 10,000 gigs. So that's more normal. No, let's make it 50 gig, 50,000 gigs, and use only 3%. So now that we've seen all of this, let's go back. So what service is this? This is their front end React.js on EC2. So we're going to go back to our simple calculator, and we're going to look for front end. No, it's not there. All right, let's add it. So EC2, configure the EC2, and this is going to be the front end React. Yes, and already it shows us here that okay, 2 CPUs is what we need. So it needs to be 2 CPU core. And then when it was 12 gigs of RAM, it was only using 2%. So we cannot use 0.5 gigs of RAM because that would be too small for it. So let's choose something that makes a bit more sense. Let's go with like maybe 4 gigs of RAM. And then here is what I was talking about earlier with reserved instances on on-demand instances. Because now that we've picked the compute class, which is T4G medium, 2 vCPUs, 4 gig memory, it shows us what is going to cost here. So this is going to be $12 monthly. Now, if it's going to be $12 monthly, but it's going to be $12 monthly on a compute saving plan. If we just went on to AWS and then just started it up and just like open EC2, start up this same exact instance, it's actually going to be 24. It's going to be literally double what we use here with this compute saving plan. The compute saving plan is using a reserved instance, like I said before, but this one is reserving it for 3 years. So it means that for 3 years, you have already booked this thing. You've already booked this instance. You can book it for 1 year. You won't get as big a discount, or you can book it for 3 years. And with reserved instances, you can either pay 0 upfront, so you pay for it monthly, but since you've already booked it for that long, you still get the discounts. Or you can pay for like a percentage, you can pay for like half upfront, which gives you an even bigger discount, or you can pay everything upfront, which gives you the full discount of up to 72%. All right. Are you guys with me? Just give a thumbs up if you're with me. All right, cool. So let's go with that 3 year no upfront one, and then let's just scroll down to save and add the service. Now, what else do we need to add? We need to get the backend Node.js on EC2. So business impact is high, Linux, Ubuntu. This one, it has 2 CPU cores, but the CPU cores are at 40%. It has 8 gigs of memory, and it's using 30% of that. It has 500 gigs of storage, and it's using 10% of that. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. It still has room to grow. You can optimize this a bit, but we don't need to really stress on that. Let's go to this Redis, the Redis cluster that they have. So two CPU cores, but it's using cannot be 1%. Let's put it at like 20%. It has 3 gigs of memory and it's using 20% as well. And it has 500 gigs of RAM and it's using 10%. This also we don't need to really optimize, but let's just go ahead and look at what the Redis looks like, because I want to show you guys something that most people they miss when they're creating a Redis cluster for themselves on AWS. All right, so most people, whenever they start up a Redis cluster, it starts by default on large, you see. So by default, it's already burning 500 USD monthly. And if you didn't know that, you're going to wake up to a very unfunny surprise. But the thing is, you can actually cut these down. You can cut these down. You just need to actually look. So we don't need something large. We can use something very, very small. And look at that. It cuts the price by literally like that's 4/5. That's 4/5. That went down from 500 something to 190. And if you're starting small, you don't need up to 3 Redis nodes. You can just put 1 node there. That cuts the price even more. You can't really change the utilization, but there are other things here that are actually burning resources. Again, you can switch it from, instead of an on-demand pricing model, you switch it to reserve. That cuts the price even more. Let's say you switch it to reserve, but then you switch it to a 3-year reserve, cuts it again. So that's just it, because we had a client that they came to us basically in tears because they had been burning thousands and thousands of dollars monthly on a testing and UAT environment, and they hadn't even launched yet. So the search wasn't hard. It's just that people oftentimes don't know where to look, and that's where Vontech comes in, because we are trained on this. This is our everyday work. Um, I think I'm good. Edith, I'll hand over to you. I think some people might have some questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for this insightful session. I believe everyone is excited and everyone will agree with me that we have definitely learned quite a lot and been exposed to some things um, that is very very paramount as far as your stay in the cloud is concerned. Some things that you need to take note of as far as you're in the cloud. So I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much, Peter, on behalf of everyone here. Thank you for this wonderful session. Thank you, Abdul Fatai. I see your comment. Um, so we have a couple of I see question from Okedechi. Yeah, so Okedechi has 2 questions. The first one says, don't WAF, that's web application firewall. Don't WAF and load balancing costs. Okay, don't WAF and load balancing cost much. especially for a small startup on a lean budget? That's the first question. Um, should I take both questions, or should I take both questions at a time, or should we go? Okay, let me just take both of them. This is from one person. So the second question says, what will be the average monthly cost of your proposed architecture? Okay, I think that should be the one. Maybe the architecture you presented just now.
Um, Hi. So okay, DG, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Um, so the first question I think we can take, but the second question I think we would have to be more in depth. So that's something that we actually offer free consulting. So you can actually have a conversation with us, and we can just walk you through how much that would cost, do a cost estimate. So just send us a message, even with the link provided, right? You can also ask us questions, and we'll definitely reach out to you and actually talk a lot more deeply on that. But we can take the first question, WAF and load balancing.
Yeah. Thank you, Faithfulness. Hi, Peter. Hi, Tolu.
All right, let me answer the question.
All right, thank you.
For a startup, you don't necessarily need web application firewall in your architecture, and reason because for example, and WAF is mostly used for IP filtering and things like that, and I don't believe you want to have that kind of effect in your architecture and your environment currently. But for application, for load balancer, now that also depends on your kind of setup. For example, you can have like multiple microservice running, and load balancer will be the easiest and cheapest way to expose all of them to the internet and control how traffic are routed from one microservice to another microservice. You might also have like auto scaling group setup, and load balancer is the best approach in handling traffic going to each applications on the back end. So for load balancers, I guess it's most times needed in a scalable environment setup, and load balancer costs aren't that much as that of other some services. Load balancer cost is mostly scaled on how many traffic or how many requests is being handled by your load balancer. So it's not necessarily that high.
Okay. Thank you, Tolu. So again, okay, DG, we can just have a conversation, right? Because I think it will also depend on how much traffic you forecast to have. A couple of other things that will come into play that would affect the cost of your load balancing that you put in the architecture, right? So again, just have a conversation just come talk to us, and we'll sit down, we'll analyze how that would work, and you can have a working, cost-effective architecture, right? And even before, and that being said, there's something else I actually want to also mention is that if you are a startup here and you have a startup that is already on AWS, or you're thinking of coming to AWS, and maybe you have some workload somewhere else and you're thinking of moving to AWS and you haven't gotten credits before. So um, again, we want to start with really small credits because AWS is very particular about usage, right? So you can't get as many credits if you're not going to use it. So if you need credits, say 1K credits to 5K credits, that's something that we can also offer to you. So if that's a conversation you also want to have, let us know in the link when you fill the form, and we'll get to you. So, Edith, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Faithfulness. So back to the chat box. Okay, so I see one from Mohammed Ibrahim. As a developer, this really blows my mind, and how people don't know much about it. Okay. I don't think this is a question, this is more like a comment. So sometimes you never can tell. You might even think that you know so much until you just see when the bill comes in, and then you'll be like, oh my goodness. So it's always good that you have people that are very good at this, that are experts, in cloud infrastructure, and the rest of them help you to configure it or guide you or walk you through configuring it. So that being said, I moved to Ocean Tutor. Ocean Tutor says, for the reserved instance, can the resources be changed in future if the software scales? I'll take that again. For reserved instance, can the resources be changed in future if the software scales?
Um, for reserve instance, what kind of reserve instance are we talking about? EC2 reserve instance.
Yeah, is it to
Yeah,
reserved
it's
instance?
probably it is too.
Okay, for the reserve instance, can the resources be changed in future if the software scale? Okay, we have like two type of reserve instance. We have the standard reserve instance. We have the convertible reserve instance. For the standard reserve instance, no, you can't change the reserve the instance type. But for the convertible, it can be changed from different instance class. But the question, can the resources be changed? That question is based on what kind of resources are we referring to now? Do you
Okay,
mean
so
the
I think
is
it might be the compute, let's say the compute capacity, some of those some of those specifications that were made during setup, right?
like
Compute
the
capacity,
instance class?
the rest of them. Yeah. So let's say you have a small size infrastructure at the moment, and let's say maybe in 2 years time, and you suddenly experience a spike or huge traffic, can it be changed? Can those capacity be modified? I think that's what the question is.
Okay, the instance class is the main thing. For there are, like I said, there are two type of reserve instances: standard and convertible. Convertible can be changed from one instance class to another instance class, while reserve can be changed.
I think someone is raising their hand. Emmanuel.
Hi, Ocean Tutor. So I don't know if you've been cleared, but if not, please fill the form, or you can also reach out to Faithfulness via the number there, and we would reach out to you definitely. Yeah, thank you, Ocean. All right. I see Emmanuel hand raised. Emmanuel, please, you can unmute and speak.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I just came back from work now. I'm still at the junction, so I kind of miss some of the, I don't know if it's the tutorial of the lectures. I don't know what's all about.
Emmanuel, please, I don't think from my end, I can't hear you. Can you be more audible?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to walk me through because I missed everything. I just joined the call not too long, and I missed the lunch. I don't know what you guys are actually saying. If it continues.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you. Can you mute? All right. Okay, thank you so much. So I think we've spoken about quite a lot. The speaker, Peter has taken a lot, so I don't think we'll be able to go to that. But so we have Faithfulness, the country manager's contact there. Please reach out to her. We'll book a session with you. Trust me, and we're going to answer every question you have. But right now, we can't be able to go back. So please,
This
thank you
this
very
The
much.
session
session
is
is
also being recorded. So
yes, so
yeah.
we'll put it up on
Okay.
our YouTube for anyone who
Awesome.
wants to check it out. Just connect up
Yeah.
to our social media so that once we put it on the YouTube and we push it there, you guys can see it and check it out.
All
Is
right.
that
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. So you could, like they said, you could also check out the recording. And if you're not still cleared, please, you can see the phone number of our country manager on the chat box. And also, please kindly complete the form. Okay, I see another hand raised. Olu, please, you can speak, please.
Share. Oh, share.
Oh, Olusheye, yeah. Olusheye, please, you can speak. Thank you. Olushaya, you can unmute. You're
Or you
muted.
can type in the chat.
Uh, let me see if we have more more questions. I think that's all the questions we have. Olushaya, are you here? You could type on the chat or kindly unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, I'm here, but I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh, okay. It was a mistake. All right. Okay, I think we are through. There are no questions anymore. Please kindly, I'll post let me drop the link to the form again. Please complete the form if you've not. Also, kindly follow us on all our social handles on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Just follow us, Vontech Group, Vontech. Yeah. So, Peter, you want to say something?
Yeah, it was just um join you because we'll be having more of these webinars and physical events too. So that you not miss it. We'll be posting everything on our socials. Thank you all so much for making the time.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter. It's really been an insightful session. Please let's celebrate our speaker. Let's show him some love. I'm very sure that we've learned quite a lot. Quite a lot. We sincerely do appreciate, Peter. Thank you for taking out time to share your knowledge with us. And thank you to everyone once again for joining in. Thank you for, your time. And I'm very certain that this has not been a wasteful time. It has been a very wonderful one. And we look forward to welcoming you on our next events. Please stay tuned. And like I said, complete the form we have on the chat box and also follow us on all our social media. Trust me, we are going to reach out to you and we'll have yes. Don't worry about the cost, like you said. So you've seen that cost is an issue. So we work to ensure that it's not an issue during the migration. We help you, we support you with securing AWS credits that can last you for a year. We ensure that your course is very much optimized. So kindly fill the form. Thank you so much, everyone, once more, and do enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Bye, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ocean. Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. Oh wow. We have our CEO here. Hi, Jeffrey. Thank you, everyone.
Guys, I think we should move to wrap up, or are we good?
Yeah, we are good. We can end it. Thank you.
We should
I
stop
am not.
recording. We should stop recording.
Mhm.